Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Fearless Artist Podcast. I'm so happy to have on Emily Workman from Classical Voice Coaching today. Emily, thanks for coming on.
It's so nice to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. Thank you. I know we've been trying to connect for a few months, so it's finally time that we can find in our schedules, time zones, concerts,
Yeah.
teaching. You've got a lot going on in your career, so I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our audience.
I'm Emily Workman, and I guess one of the biggest things I'd say people know me for is kind of teaching teachers how to teach. My messaging has kind of been a little bit mixed lately, but ultimately it's teaching teachers how to teach in a way that is more science focused. I have courses available for people, and there's just a huge gap in that realm. And I taught at university for 5 years. I was the director of voice at Utah Tech University. And so I know what teachers are being taught. I know what, I should say, students are being taught about the voice before they graduate. And unless you go into a pedagogy field, then you don't really immerse yourself in performance. So you're missing kind of the immersive information and learning that comes to you through being on stage and all of that stuff. But if you go into performance, you get one little pedagogy class, probably usually in your last year, and it doesn't have any practical training at all, unless you add it yourself, but it's not required by the National Association of Schools of Music. So to be accredited, you don't have to add any kind of case studies training or like ear tuning exercises, how to listen for attributes of dysfunction. They don't have any of that in those classes. And I know because I taught them and I knew it was required. And so this huge gap of students were graduating and realizing that they can't make full-time income performing.
Yes.
I think people, if you're on the other side of this camera, feel a wash of shame when that comes up. You are in the 99 percentile. Like, this is normal for all of us, even myself. It's harder and harder since COVID happened. It's just almost impossible to pay your bills exclusively from performance gigs. This is okay. This is normal. And so for me, I have had all of these vocalists turn to the thing that will give them the most flexibility so that they can audition and allow them to make some money, whether that's teaching online or teaching in a studio, which can be difficult to find. But, you know, these days everybody's teaching online and it's a very viable place to be. So, but they don't have the training and they're scared and they're like, I know how to teach, but what if I lose my credibility? What if I can't, like, I don't know how to talk about this. So I'm just going to say what everybody says. And it's just like a fast spiral into imposter syndrome and self-doubt. And it starts to color all your performances. And like, it's just not necessary because there's so many easy ways to train this and learn about the voice. And so I've spent a lot of time on the science side, spent some time researching with a local hospital around ways to identify dysfunction through different methods like ultrasound and things like that. So I'm very well versed in this type of thing. I've been doing it for decades at this point. So I just wanted to kind of bridge that gap. And that's, I guess, what people know me most for. But I went to Yale, got my master's in performance, performed for the last decade. So I spent some time in those realms and am well connected there. And that's wonderful because then I can get real honest feedback from people at the very top. People usually come to me. I always say that I'm the teacher that people cheat on with their other teachers because they come to me with problems and they love their teachers. They don't want to leave them, but they have a problem they can't figure out. And they start looking for a little bit of a different kind of help. And so we meet and then they're like, oh my gosh, this changed my life. And then they post something successful online and it's like, you figured it out. And they're like, I know, but they can't like,
Oh, that's funny.
they don't want their teachers to know that
Right.
they met with me or they meet with me. And so it's kind of a weird situation that I'm in because vocal rehabilitation is kind of my specialty. So.
And also very humble of you to not jump in and be like, excuse me, like we did this together.
Oh, I get frustrated. I definitely do because social proof is the most important part of marketing.
Right.
And if you don't have it, it can be frustrating. But word of mouth, you don't need social proof if you've got word of mouth. You want to help people so much that they go tell their friends.
Absolutely.
And if that's the case, you don't need to put it on your website. So I do okay. I do all right.
Yeah, good for you. And thank you for just giving everybody a sigh of relief listening that portfolio careers are completely normal. There's no shame in that. already so much of the language that you're using resonates deeply with me because the Fearless Artist is very much a no shame culture that we've built.
Mhm.
Deanna studied at Juilliard, and
Oh,
she's got her stories. And luckily, I was at a very open, kind space at the University of Montreal. But still, like just the industry, this competitiveness, this pettiness. So just like everybody can take a sigh of relief. It's normal to search out for multiple income streams. It's actually smart to do that.
yeah. You know
So,
what? To me, that competitiveness is just a way that people are basing their confidence on a hierarchy scheme.
mm,
It's the only way they think they can get it, and that's just not true. And I think when you recognize that confidence is something that you don't get, it's not a series of what you do, it's something you remember. We've
mm,
always had that since we were kids, and somebody told us we needed to stop or we needed to compare ourselves to this person or that person. And it's just the most false, oldest ghost script that we listen to every damn day. And can I swear on here?
yeah, sure, go for it.
It requires like vigorous vocabulary.
Okay, I've never
But
heard someone describe it like that. Tell me more about this. Confidence is something that we remember.
it's something I mean, look at any 3-year-old. They're running around with so much confidence unless somebody comes up to them and says, you should be ashamed of that. And you should look at the way this person is doing it, and you should see that they are doing it better than you are because they're getting a response from society that looks like this. And you can't tell why they're getting that. There's just no way of doing it. It's pointless. And so you start to build these protection mechanisms and say, if I could just be better than that person, if I could just do it like them but better, if I can, then I'm going to get the confidence that I need. Then I'm going to get the praise that I desire. And it's a disease. Looking for approval from others and love from others, which is really what it is. It's not necessarily approval. It's love.
Yep. And
If we're
acceptance and
continually,
approval.
yeah, if we're continually trying to get that, we've got a disease, and we have to address it really quickly and swiftly. And that means interrupting those ruminating thoughts because they will drown you, and you
Mm.
live the rest of your life fulfilling all your dreams, singing at the Met, going to all these places that you want to go, and you go home and you're devastated that you still don't feel loved. And then you start chasing for the next thing, which is to be hired back or to get, whoever to comment on your Instagram thing. I mean, I have fallen into that trap. I have some people who are very big in the country industry. You would know their names. Very big in the classical world, very big in the metal world, who follow me. And when they first did, it's like, oh my gosh, look who's following me. And you want to repost it on your stories and you want to, and I'm like, that's outsourcing my credibility. That's outsourcing my confidence. I don't need that. They don't need it. I respect them. They respect me. I'm going
Wow.
to leave them alone. Like they're
Wow.
people. Everybody poops, like
Yeah.
let them like treat them with dignity and respect that they deserve because they've earned that certainly. But as far as, okay, I need to demote myself now is just not a practice that we should have. You've got to be clear about where your gaps are in your ability, but when it comes to hierarchy, that's not where we find confidence.
Mm.
And you don't
Hmm.
fake it till you make it. You just need to remember that you had that to begin with and give yourself permission. No one
Sounds
else
like
can give
you've
it to you.
done, yeah, you've done so much internal work to go through it. Sounds like you've gotten some tools to help you.
Otherwise, you drown on social media, don't you? People can be brutal.
You have a big following, 43K. How has that been for you navigating the growth, the fame, the comments, anything that you've had to deal with?
Thankfully, not so much in music. I think if you look at other people who are in different, I guess, worlds, even musical niches, they have to deal with a lot more inappropriate comments. Some sexual, some aggressive and rude. My motto's always been block and bless.
Yes.
I
Heard
mean,
that
without
before.
hesitation. I don't even
Yeah.
like look at it
Yeah.
for very long. If I like to consider that they are asking with real curiosity, that can sometimes come off a little sharp in text, but I'll still consider it and be like, look, they're genuinely asking and it's a fair question.
Hmm.
So I'll leave it and address it. If they come back with any kind of character assassination, we're done.
Yeah.
Like I'll just block them. I don't really care, and I don't dwell on it much longer than that. So when you recognize that you don't have to participate in every argument that you're invited to,
Oh, that's a good
Your
one.
life gets a whole lot easier. But I guess when I grew to about 47, and then I took about 6 months off just for family issues, some other things that were going on. I just needed to not be provoked by the simulation that is social media.
Yeah, yeah.
And I lost, obviously, I lost a lot of them. And it just happens. You lose every day. So it's not a big deal. If you're not actively trying to grow, you lose followers. And so I didn't care much about that. And it was kind of reassuring that I didn't care. I thought I
Yes.
would care. And I was just like, I don't care. People want to be here, they'll stay here. If they don't, they're not going to convert anyway.
Right,
And I'm
exactly.
going to use that
Exactly.
word a lot.
Yeah.
Convert just meaning like you build enough trust with them that they see you have the solution to their problem, and they will, you know this, but I'm just for the audience.
No,
And
absolutely.
they
I'm
will
happy to.
come and they'll come into your programs to get the help that you offer. So they trust you enough to do that. People who are there to hate or there to leave because you spent a week selling a product, like they were never going to buy it anyway. And the truth is, people expect you to be extremely altruistic. Um, is that the word I want to use? Very philanthropic
Mm.
as musicians. This is a business. This is
Yeah.
my full-time business. There's no doubt that we're exchanging value here. I
Right.
am giving honestly and earnestly as much as I can because I don't want to do anything else. I love this. It's what I'm good at. It's what I'm an expert at. I've seen people's lives change with one cue. And then they'll come back and say, why didn't my teacher ever tell me this? Oh my gosh, why didn't anyone ever explain it like that? This is so much easier. Those moments, man, I live for those moments. They're so exciting, and you can see people get a lot of freedom from that. But I think that I'm weaving out of the story a little bit. I could go on and on, but the people who aren't there to participate in that exchange of value, bye. Like, have a good one. Hope you find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I don't really care. But navigating the growth, it's just basic marketing principles.
Mm-mm.
And that was kind of fun to see happen. But then when I tried to turn it into an exchange of that value, I got a real sharp wake up call.
Oh,
Like, oh, this is not as easy to sell to people. It's not as easy to show them and help them see that you can solve the problem that they have. And they may not even know they have it. So you have to
right.
kind of look into that as well. But yeah, do you experience the same thing? You've got a healthy audience as well.
Yes. Well, at the Fearless Artist, what I've had to learn is there's so much education that I need to do to teach my musicians about the power of investing in themselves.
Yeah.
So even if I can
What
tell
does
them,
that mean for you? Like investing in themselves, what does that look
paying
like?
money for you to be in professional development situations that are going to ultimately help your growth without maybe an
Yeah.
immediate return on that investment. So
Yeah.
our membership is priced quite low. I think it's 57 a month. However, many people, they think, okay, well, how long am I going to do this? After a year, it's 500. What if I don't get anything? So I spend a lot of time trying to tell them by being in a healthy community, you are held accountable to go after your goals, which are to earn
Yeah.
money. And if you don't have this system in place, you are probably going to fall victim to overthinking, procrastination, rejection, some spiral that will
Yeah.
make you inactive. So this is forcing you to stay in the game. Just like we had in school, we had this pressure of deadlines, systems, teachers, accountability. So some of them get it, some of them don't. And I've learned to let go and just keep giving content. The podcast is obviously free value for everyone.
Yeah.
And then people realize like, oh, I need more of this. And then the ones who realize they want tailored career development strategy, that's what we have the mastermind for, which is a much higher price point. But I understand that that's going to be the very, highest percentage of my audience.
Yeah.
But you've said so many interesting things that I want to unpack. So with this, going back to the mindset work, are you also doing that with your clients? Because it sounds like you've learned so many tools to help you get out of those, low confidence or triggering, like you're no longer triggered if you lose followers. Like you've done the work. So what has helped you?
Do I do that with my clients? Surprisingly, yes. Even the more elite level performers. I think they have the most beautifully decorated masks. And I think that
Yeah.
I include myself in that. Everybody has them. Every single person has them. And I don't think it's about taking the mask off. I think it's about recognizing that you are not the mask.
Hmm.
And I think we confuse ourselves with the mask. And so when we're not getting work and we're not looking like a certain thing, we wonder who we are. And I think we all have kind of existential crises. But one of the most beautiful things that a performer's ever said to me, I did a show in Poland with Diana Montague, who's this incredible mezzo, a huge career, just delightful. Like, we just had so much fun. She's a riot and full of wisdom. And she said, everybody wants to get hired at the Met, or they want to get hired at the Royal Opera, or they want to A, B, C, and D. And then they get hired. And like I said before, then what? Then the goal is to be hired back. And then the goal is to do this. And then it's to do that. And I'd never sat next to someone so comfortable with her own life. And whether she did it or didn't, she truly didn't ask permission from anyone to be confident. And that means it's like, oh, I'm not going to ask permission, so I'll be confident and that'll make me make less mistakes. And that's not it.
It's like a protection.
That's not it. Like,
Yeah.
the goal is to not make mistakes. It's to grow and learn and get as competent as you can as an artist. That's important. That matters. It's about getting to a point where you're not asking permission to mess up sometimes, knowing that 80% of the time you are solid and you'll show up and do what you've been asked to do. And I think that in our heads, we kind of look around like, is it okay that I'm doing this? And ironically, the better you get, the more you ask permission, because people do not like when you do well, and they don't like when you're confident that you're doing well. I've received more resistance to that than failing. People are very
because if you
happy.
fail, then you're on everybody's level because everyone's struggling. But if you rise, then it triggers
relieved.
everybody because we're like, oh,
Yeah.
wait, what? You could be successful? What if I didn't put in the work? What if I missed it?
Yeah, or like, what if you're judging me for not doing this? Or it comes back to that hierarchy thing.
Yes.
I'm basing my level of confidence on whether or not I feel above or below you. And the minute that starts to change, people get real frosty. They just get really snarky. Those dynamics change. I've experienced it myself. And I'm like, this is the stuff you read about in books. It's the stuff you see in movies. Like, this is actually happening? What? Or they feel conflicted. And that it's like, the fact that my success makes you feel conflicted at all is troubling.
Right.
And that makes me feel like if I'm not doing well, you don't feel conflict at all, which is also troubling.
Well, you're
And
making
it's
them
like, so-
comfortable.
Yeah. It's like, ultimately, I can't think about them.
Mm.
Or I'm not going to do well. And so if I think I'm going to do well, you're afraid someone's going to come up to you and be like, how dare you think that? You're not humble. Like, and for people who were raised in maybe a little bit more controlling religions, I certainly was. I won't get into that, but there is this element of that's pride. If confidence equals pride, you're actually more acceptable and righteous if you doubt yourself.
Right.
If you don't do too much, if you're not too big, if you're not, we just can't do that.
Mm.
We just can't. You look at anyone who's a top level performer. I mean, I went to school with Rachel Willis Sorensen,
Okay.
and there's just she's not asking those questions. She doesn't show up and ask them. And maybe she does in private. I think we all kind of worry about it a little bit, but I'm not going to put words in her mouth.
I think she just posted
she doesn't.
yesterday. She was giving a workshop to some students and she was talking about walking in being confident and that it's not arrogance, but it's just knowing that what you just said, you can do the job that you've been asked to do.
Yeah. She never apologized. I remember listening to her sing, I think it was Don Giovanni, in undergrad. And I just kind of went in the top rafters. They were just rehearsing. And I walked in and she was with several other of our colleagues and friends. And they were singing their little bits and beautiful voices. And then she sang and it was like 5 times as loud. And beautiful, not like a circus event where you put up a sign that says I sing loud and like it's a blowhorn. Like, that's not it. It was just warm and colorful and my whole body was impacted by it.
Oh, wow.
And I've seen her at the Met a couple of times since, and just there's so much to that. Can you imagine if she walked around asking permission to let her voice be what it is?
Yeah.
how exhausting
Right.
to spend your life doing that.
Yes.
And she just does it. And I think that there's a lot to be said for that. It's like, well, Emily, how do I do that?
Mm.
It starts in here. It's a practice. Remember that the thoughts that are coming into your head are what's comfortable. It's a habit. It's not necessarily what's right. We don't always do what is right. We do what's familiar. And so
Mhm.
if you have a script that's running that's familiar, I set an alarm on my phone. Every 20 minutes, it goes off so that I can check what I'm thinking about.
No way. I just
Am
read this
I?
yesterday in Hyperfocus. I don't know if you've read this
Yeah.
book, but he says an hourly to ask yourself, what is your attention on? It's the same
Where
concept.
is it? And a lot of times it's on this stuff. And I say this because I have had to work so hard to get it out of my head. It's rampant, and it suffocates creativity. It it's the stuff that makes you wake up and go, today is going to be a bad day because I'm not this and I'm not that, and that person's doing that. Suddenly you're on social media and you're looking at, well, that person was in Rolling Stone magazine and that person was in Opera News, and that I'm never going to get, like, it's just, shut up. Get out. I can't. I
Yes.
can't live like that. It's,
Yes.
even if I believe it, and there are parts of my body that like crumple inside because I believe it sometimes.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, angel baby, like, why? You're imperfect, they're imperfect. And I think that understanding, not that people are imperfect, because that shouldn't make us feel better. Oh, yay, they're not perfect. Good.
Well, then it's coming back to what we were saying. We don't want other people to feel around us when we succeed.
It's the understanding that everyone, I mean, everyone is suffering and everyone is insecure. This is not up for debate. This is fact. Everyone, every person you've seen at the top, at the bottom, in the middle, everyone who's got the clothes, the bag, the voice you think is impenetrable in terms of fault, everyone is suffering. I mean, I've got massive burdens on my mind right now, and this last week has been difficult. My family's never going to be the same, and I'll probably not really ever be able to talk about it openly. But as I walk around the
I'm so
store or
sorry.
I drive around, I'm like, I'm carrying this, and no one has any idea. What are they carrying?
Mm.
You know, like, what is, I mean, when Rachel did her debut of Venote di Figaro, she was pregnant, and no one knew. She hadn't announced it yet. So I was with her teacher and my teacher also. And he was like, nobody knows. And if she'd had a horrible performance, which she did not, it was incredible. It could have been for a number of reasons. And people would be like, well, she's losing her touch, or oh, she's blah, 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 blah. Like, you just can't. You can't. You have to stop those thoughts so fast and just be like, everyone's suffering. Everyone's insecure. Just like
Wow.
me. So why don't we just do our best, you know? That helps us forgive ourselves. It helps us forgive them. And it just changes our focus from one of jockeying for position to actual creation. Like, let's just do that.
This is beautiful. So every 20 minutes you catch yourself, let's say, if you are in a familiar script, what is the new thought that you put in your brain instead?
Um, what are you afraid of? That's usually the question I ask. Why are you
Mhm.
doing this?
Mhm.
What are you afraid of? And it's usually that I have no significance in the world, that I'm not accepted by the group I want to be accepted by, which is musicians,
Right.
or that somebody disapproves of me or doesn't like me. It's usually one of those three things. And it's hard to admit because I'm kind of a, science-based, like, fact, like, let's get into the bullet points of all of these things. Let's look at the foundational root of all of the, because I don't like being, I don't like to, I don't like to be provoked, and I don't like to be sold to
Mhm.
and lied to. I'm pretty skeptical human. You can see the wrinkles under my eyes because
I
I'm always doing
can't. You
this.
look great.
There's a filter. There's not a filter. There isn't. I'll get up close. I've got the rinks. I've got them. But yeah, there's a lot of skepticism, and so for me, it's difficult to ask these questions because it makes me have to be very, very humble, and
Mhm.
it's very uncomfy. It's
Yes.
very uncomfortable to be to recognize that you have needs, because we like to think of ourselves as impenetrable emotionally, and
Right.
that's what you need to be as an artist, and you need to not care what people think. And it's like, it's not about not caring what people think. It's about getting comfortable with the idea of social rejection and judgment,
Right.
because I think that's the biggest fear for most people.
Yeah, absolutely. Being accepted is number one, foundational. I
So
think
if
it
I
was
find myself, oh, go ahead. You think it
No,
was,
Ed Sheeran who said if we didn't care what people thought, we wouldn't release our music.
yeah,
He was like, I would just keep it for myself if I didn't care what people thought. I thought that was so
yeah,
interesting.
exactly. I think it's, how do I plan my actions? And if I plan them around what people think, that can be troubling.
Mm,
So, yeah, it's just the lens that you decide to see the world through. And I say decide because it is a decision, and it's like I said, a habit. I've not always been good at it. I've had stints in my life, 6 months or so, especially the last, maybe up until maybe 3 months ago or so. The last 6 months were like just letting these old scripts of negativity and self pity and, just run rampant. And every day was like, oh my gosh, life is awful. I don't really want to do anything. Like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And when I kind of woke up to that, I was like, oh, again, angel baby. Like, what are you so scared of? What are you afraid of? What
yeah.
what need is not being fulfilled here? Like,
Mm,
what shame are you trying to hide? And I think
right.
we all try to hide shame. I think that's what the masks are,
Right.
hiding shame.
Of course. Especially when artists are supposed to be, well, we are these public figures. I think that's where it really gets disorienting because everyone's seeing. And as much as we try to be authentic, I find your content very authentic. Um,
I try to be. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And for me personally, like after years of being triggered, I just learned to kind of unfollow all the people that I could catch this fakeness coming from. Because I'm like, I'm comparing myself to this. I don't even know if this is real. And then you meet them in person and you're like, yeah, this is not genuine. I don't, my thought for you is has your inner circle changed now that you've learned like okay my success makes certain people uncomfortable or you sound to me like someone who's continually looking for that next level. So have you anchored yourself around key people in your life to center that?
Hmm. I'm not. Yeah, I know this is going to sound really egotistical, but it isn't meant to be. Myself.
Mhm.
I think we dismiss that relationship with ourselves. I don't think that means we don't need social connection. I certainly have that. My family, people who I know I can trust with good news. I know I can trust with the worst of me,
Yes.
and they won't judge me. I definitely have that, but it's a small group. I mean, Deanna and I have been friends for I think almost 2 years now, and she's one of those people. We talk all the time, and so
Mm,
I can send her a message on WhatsApp and be like, man, I'm in a shame spiral about this. I really hate this. I'm really not loving this. I don't feel strong. And she gets it. And she will hold that and not look at me like, well, I'm only friends with people who are really successful, like, or like just seem to be really successful. I'm
yes.
not interested in those
Mm,
relationships.
yeah.
And I don't think she is either. So anyone who is like that in my life it's really important. And I think, like, I've called social media a simulation before, and I'm glad that you feel my content is authentic, because to me authenticity is a combination of vulnerability and honesty.
Mm,
And I don't know that it's always been trends. Like, what's authentic about a trend? Let's not like mince words. There's nothing authentic about a trend. It's a way of popularizing and dispensing information in a certain way that
right.
people are like seeing as funny or interesting, but that's not authentic. If I were authentic, I'd just sit down and talk like this,
Yeah.
like, lecturing like I used to do at school all the time, and with a certain outcome in mind, of course, so I don't waste people's time. But I think anchoring into those few people who can see me and not judge me,
Yes.
I think that's the most important thing.
I mean, mine is Deanna too. So
Mm.
my Deanna, she can hold space for all my shame spirals. I was with her last week
Yeah.
in Minnesota and flying back over to Europe is always very emotional for me, going back between
Sure.
these two lives.
Yeah. Do you
Uh,
find a cognitive dissonance there where you're kind of swapping out versions of yourself? Like you
Well,
have to be a
it's
certain
been
way.
like so long now that I've been abroad, 12 years, that in the beginning, I'm sure I felt like I remember feeling like I needed to go home and prove myself, like I needed to give enough reasons for me to be here in Europe. Like, look, I'm doing enough cool things that it's worthy of me being so far away. Now I don't have that anymore per se, but just the big question of like, where should I be? Where's the most impactful place I could live? I'm in a smaller city right now, but I
Mm.
do travel a lot. But then the big question of like, oh, should I move? Am I missing out? Am I, my network? And so I think most of the time I have peace with it, but then sometimes somebody makes a little comment like, "Are you sure?" And it's like that little snake in your mind, and you're like, "I don't know if I'm sure." And then I fly there and you see what life would be like over there and you're like, "Well, maybe I should be here." And so it's just, but I don't know, it makes me crazy. I'm learning to kind of just take it. I think I've zoomed in a lot now. It's like today. What do I need to do today?
Yeah.
Because I can't think 3 months, 6 months, 5 years anymore. It's going
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. What do I need to do today? And I think that another element of confidence is exactly what you just said. And it's not what does the me today need? It's what does the me tomorrow need? What do
Mhm.
I, and I heard somebody say that that's all that discipline is. It is
Oh,
putting the needs of your future self ahead of your present self.
that's so good.
And it's so stinking true. So that you can look back with gratitude
Mm,
instead of resentment and
right.
anger at your past self. So it's like, what does my future self need today? I have sometimes put, those aging apps that you can like age yourself.
I was horrified. I couldn't look.
Horrifying.
I
They're
couldn't look.
pretty tough.
I was like, "Do I need to do Botox?"
Everybody ages. Everybody, like, no, I don't care who they are. Everyone gets older, and I'm settling with that more and more as 40 approaches.
Oh, you do not look
Um,
40, that's for sure.
oh, it's coming. We're 6 months away. I'm in my 40th year. I'm actually really excited about it. I think the
Good.
40s are going to be very interesting.
I believe you.
Um, but I would do that aging app and then take a screenshot and put her on my lock screen because she's the one who needs present me to do the right things more than anybody.
Oof.
So it's like, what do I need to do for her today? It's like, well, she needs to like be walking at 80. She needs to be,
Okay.
hopefully not dealing with this issue and that issue. So I'm gonna get my protein. I'm gonna go to bed at a reasonable time. I'm gonna make sure that it's like 115 degrees here. So I'll go to like a big grocery store and just like lap it a couple times and then go up and down the aisles just so that I can walk
Get your
every
steps
day.
in. Good for
Do I
you.
want to? No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I want to sit down and drink Diet Dr. Pepper and watch some Amazon show. You can't do that. You can't do that. My tomorrow self would be so mad. She'd be like, look at this mess you left for us. And I think it's the same with singing. I think it's the same with practice.
Yes, I was thinking
Practice
practicing
is
for sure.
like, yeah, it's like I've got to keep up these skills and I have to practice the mental. I love what you said about your program where that accountability, because when you go and do a high pressure program like my master's at Yale, I didn't have time to doubt myself. And that
Mm.
was the most I did. Like that would come in and then I was like, I really don't have time for you. Like I have to do it. So what do I need to think in my brain to get me in a positive place? And I remember our teacher talked to one of my colleagues and I was in their lesson at the time. And she said, are you ready to do your memorization like run? We had like 2 weeks to learn our entire recital repertoire. Like they loved to put really short timelines on massive amount of rep to learn as a practice so that we could kind of fill in if a job ever came up. So she said, are you prepared to learn all of this in 2 weeks? And she was like, well, I don't know if I can. And she said, it doesn't matter if you can or you can't, you must. And I was like, that's so true. And I hate everything about it, but also it's so true. And so if it's not a question of I can or can't, and I have to, what steps do I need to take to make that happen?
Yeah.
But you start asking different questions instead of how do I wiggle out of this? How do I do the least amount possible? Maybe I can come up with excuses so that people won't expect as much of me, or so that they will give me a pass. And then we go into this really sad pity state of thinking, which is no one knows what I'm going through. No one will ever understand me. I've been through so much. Like, No one knows the load I carry. And it's, you can't solve a problem when the problem is the point,
Mm.
you know? And so I think when we get into that as musicians, we're stuck forever. And if you find yourself thinking that, which if you're a musician listening to this, I know you have before, because I have before, and every professional I know has before. And it's a way of it wiggling out of expectation and responsibility. And it's a heavy weight to be a musician. You have a huge responsibility to deliver for your audience. It's sometimes unbearable. It's so heavy. But I think when you recognize you're going down that road, don't ask if you can or can't. You have to. So now we start asking the right questions. Well, what are the outcomes I need? How can I sort of reverse engineer where to start to make sure I meet them reasonably? And then implement a delusional amount of self-forgiveness. There's no other way.
Tell me about self-forgiveness and how it's impacted you.
You know, if you can just start crying, then you can talk through it. But it's the moment when you start, you just kind of have to get it over with.
Yeah.
It's changed everything. And I think when things go wrong, you just hate yourself so much because somebody told you you were not lovable or acceptable if you didn't perform. The only rewards so many of us got as creatives and musicians were as a result of a good performance or something that made them look good or made them feel proud. Or not everyone, but a majority of us had those kinds of experiences as kids, in middle school, whatever. So you're so hard on yourself. The reason I'm not loved, the reason I'm not accepted is because I didn't do this well enough. And you might have done it better than anyone ever has. And it just timing or the platform you released it on, and you just can't forgive the fact that you're not loved because of you or because of blah blah blah. And we talk about love a lot, and it kind of seems like this big thing over here. But I think that when you search your body and the response you get when you are loved, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think we make it our fault. And you're always deserving of that. And it shouldn't have come as a result of perfect performance or something that was better than everybody else or, you know, something fantastical and loud. And when I recognized that all of the things that happened in the past that went poorly, that made me feel like I didn't deserve to be loved, when I really decided, it's not a moment, it's a practice, decided to practice that, everything in here changed.
Mm.
I would be in the studio and I would laugh at myself more. Oh,
Yes.
that didn't work. Wow, that was a lot. Ooh, honey, I pat my face a lot. Ooh, what's going on today?
Yeah.
Are you on your period? Like, what do you need?
Yes.
Are you embarrassed? Are you feeling shame about something? Are you mad that guy cut you off and you just kind of wished he would run into a telephone pole? Like, are you still feeling angry about that? Like, where is that? Why are you feeling that?
Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling less than someone? Are you not feeling connected enough today? And these feel like very wiggly questions because growing up I was very, like, that was silly. That was kind of embarrassing to ask those questions. That was very woo-woo. That was very whatever you want to say. Not anymore. That's the only way. It's the only way to
When you
have
ask
any
those questions, you
confidence.
sound like a very safe mom to me. So it sounds like you've done a lot of gentle inner parenting to that little
Yeah.
version. Because it's
Yeah.
similar to me. Like I've learned, I did a lot of life coaching with a wholehearted artist coach. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like, hand on your heart, gentle. How are you? What do you need right now? And
Oh, that
just,
used to make me cringe. That used to make me just like roll over. Like, don't have. How are you? Hold a crystal. Like, oh, I hated it so much.
okay.
It was too like, you know, like I was super resistant to that. Wait just a second. Because we've got a whole bowl of crystals over there and all of these little rocks that I keep. just to get myself out of that resistant mindset. I'm still not a huge crystal blessings kind of gal, but I keep them around because I'm stopping myself from investigating the scripts in here.
Yes.
Because that's ultimately what it is these old scripts that somebody else put in there, and I'm letting them rule my life. And so if I look back on something I'm embarrassed about, it just makes me sick to my stomach. I'm like, I just think of it like a funny computer game level I lost, Mario Kart. Well, that did not go well. I fell off the bridge like 7 times. And it's funny. And maybe everybody else beat me, but it's funny and you let it go, you know? And so it's like, I can't drag that with me, and I have to forgive. It's like, forgive yourself. But sometimes I don't deserve to be forgiven. Listen, here's what I think. It's ridiculous, and the word, dare I say, delusional, to think that you are the worst thing that's ever existed. That was the worst performance that ever happened. No one's ever done it as bad as me. And you probably were like functioning at about 80%, 75% of your best, which is pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
You're already, I learned this from Chase Hughes. You guys need to go look up Chase Hughes because he's changed my life. You're already delusional. That's already the dumbest. Like when I heard him say that, I was like, oh, good Lord. I really am delusional to think that I'm the worst or that it's as bad as I thought it was. So you may as well pick your delusion. And there was something about that that totally changed the way I felt about myself, the way I felt about the students that come to me. This is just so bad. I'm going to get fired. Like, I have to do this huge run. I have to do every single, you know. And it was like, you're a little, what's the word? Everything's a little too catastrophic right now in your mind. And it's a little delusional to think that that's going to happen. It's probably not. So why don't we choose our delusion and think the opposite direction? And that just set me free in a whole new way and allowed me to forgive myself.
Okay, so how are you delusional now?
I don't think I'm the very, very best, but I do think that I know how to get people from point A to point B almost 100% of the time. I've never had a student that I can't affect change with.
But that's not being delusional. That's accurate. That's facts. That's science.
Well, and that's facts.
Like you've
that's
proven
reality.
it. You know, you're doing
well,
it.
And that's what I mean is that isn't that not what's in the head? You can. A lot of people would say you have a master's from Yale. What are you doubting about yourself? And it's like that's the whole problem. Is that the mental scripts that are in there are very, very, very hard on myself. I can be very hard on myself. But that forgiveness has to be there, and you'll find yourself doing it throughout the day. That's also what that 20-minute timer is about. Checking in. What am I thinking about? Am I thinking about past things I did that I hate myself for? I don't know that many people will identify with this, but I know a lot of artists would be willing to admit sometimes I regret going into music. Am I allowed to say it?
You can say whatever you want.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Not always, but occasionally because you have to pay your bills and it's hard.
Yeah.
And
of course.
You can feel a lot of resentment.
We could have been accountants. I was like, I should have been a nurse. I've said that 100 times. You know, I should have been
a nurse. I would have the same feelings.
Yeah.
You just can't know whether one path would have made you more comfortable than another path. And so here you are. And so there, again, that self-forgiveness comes in where I'm like, I made the best choice I could have made at the time I made it. And whether that's true or not, you can't go back. So what are you narcissistically thinking that if you think about this and feel shame about this, like you think you should, somehow that will make it change?
Right.
You think you have that much power, Em? You really do? Like that's such a like bizarre way to view the world. And so it's like, well, I forgive you for that, but I also forgive you for the past. Like that's done. That was a funny part of the game. Let's play the next level and see what happens with better skills and more information. And I get that question a lot online. You asked what people ask me. I get that question a lot. Like, how do you know when to stop? When you can't pay your bills. Like, it's as simple as that. But when are you stopping? Making music? If you're a musician, if you're someone who loves making music, never, not ever. What are you even talking about?
Right.
Not ever.
Once a
But you may
musician,
have
always a
to,
musician.
geez, yeah, but you may have to go do something that is not what you envisioned a successful musician to be.
Yeah.
And if shame just flooded your body at the idea of that, welcome to the club. We've all felt it. There's just, you got to pay your bills. You have a responsibility to do that. No one's going to shame you. Like, I have a friend who cleans headlights for a living, and he plays bass around the country. Like, nobody cares. Nobody's thinking about you that long. And if they do, it's for a moment. Uh, I mean, think about the biggest, gosh, Michael Jackson, he passes away. How long did you think about that? How many times a day do you think about him?
Right.
He's like the biggest, one of the biggest names in music. We just don't.
Right.
So go make your money. Go do what you need to do to enjoy music, and do it the way that you think it should be done. And I think we get trapped in this idea of we can't let anyone know that we're music educators because that means we're not performers, and everyone will know, and then they won't hire us to be performers. So we have to secretly not make money,
Right.
not market ourselves so that we can actually live a comfortable life. I will not sacrifice the beauty of my life to music. I just don't think that's fair, because I really matter and you really matter. And like, beyond this, if music went away forever, you're still a soul, you're still an
Right.
important person. And I just think we get way too attached to what it should look like, and for good
Yes.
reason. I think they've done a good job of keeping us very trapped in this one way of doing it, because it makes life easier for them. But the jig is up. Social media is here. The middleman, we do not have to ask their permission anymore. We don't have to sit in front of a panel and ask their permission to sing for our audience. I've had more people hear my voice through my social media than in any hall I've ever sung in.
Wow.
And it's not quite the same. Obviously, that collaborative, performative journey is really fun and important and beautiful, and there's nothing like it. But that middleman is just not there anymore. The world is yours. Like, go get it. Give yourself.
This is so empowering. I love this. Um, Thank you. Thank you for being
You're
so
so
open
welcome.
and honest and vulnerable and saying what so many of us are thinking. And I just wanted to add to what you said. We don't want to share that we're teaching because it shows that we're not making all our money performing. The only people who actually know the depth of that niche is our colleagues. So
Well, and look at any professional performer, they all end up teaching anyway.
probably yes, and also because they want to. It's leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
It's continuing on the tradition. I mean, what are you doing with all of your clients? You're helping them unlock their voice. You're
Hmm.
impacting thousands.
Yeah.
Also with your Instagram, I mean, it's about the impact that we're having.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, everybody teaches, or they do master classes, or they, even those in the prime of their career right now. I just don't know why they're so separate. And we
I think
love
they
to kind
should.
of,
I think it's a responsibility to continue on the traditions. I mean, especially with a
yeah.
number of great pianists passing away recently, it's kind of like thrown me. I'm like, well, we got to make sure that the
Yeah.
technique is being passed down, the interpretation, the how we approach the instrument, the method. I mean, who's going to carry this on? We have to make sure that
Yeah.
the lineage is there.
Yeah.
They have to teach us. They have to teach.
Why? I mean, well, you can cut this out if you want to, but why is that such an important? I mean, I can see it in your face that that's a really important, uh, maybe value that you have even. Where did that come from, do you think?
I mean, the strong tradition of how we interpret, how we approach the score, how we,
Mm.
uh, it can't just be whatever. It has to be with intention, integrity, understanding, style. And so working with different teachers, you get different interpretations or understandings of the music.
Mhm.
I mean, even my technique foundation is so excellent because of my pedagogy lineage I came from. I can trace
Yeah.
back my teachers and I know where it came from. And so then when you see someone else who has tendonitis or can't do their octaves or something, and you think if they'd had my training, they wouldn't have these problems. And so just keeping that consistency, excellence in our
Mhm.
art, the craft, right? It's like passing on any other craft.
Yeah.
I
So
think
why can't it?
discipleship almost like we're
Yeah.
forming disciples of our craft. And so when you have a good teacher, a good pedagogy, then the music, the integrity, the excellence, the interpretation.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
And
I
the
even have a colleague right now. They'll post on Instagram and they'll be like, "Oh, it's I just play it how I feel it." It's like, well, actually, that's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the art form. It's disrespectful to the composer. It's disrespectful to the score. And you can tell me all you want to about you want to feel your emotions through your music. That's fine, but you can't play Chopin however you want with whatever extra notes you want and say that it's okay, because then what? We're diluting this art form, and there's a standard.
I had an acting coach who said, well, you can move however you feel like moving, but what if how you move looks stupid? And I was like, fair. Like, okay. Like, you're not always super aware of your own like movements and intention. And
I had a
I
German
do,
professor tell me, "You play with your mouth open. You need friends." I was like, "Thank you for telling me that. I will close my mouth when I'm playing."
if you play with your mouth open, you need
To
friends.
tell you this, that's what he was saying. You need friends to tell you this.
Okay.
You're
You
like,
need to
"Are
be
you
aware
aware
of.
that you have your mouth hanging open?" I'm like, "I'm trying to be emotional."
It's so true. One of my weightlifting trainers, she was a ballet dancer with American Ballet Theater for a long time. It's probably been a decade and a half since she did that. But she's just super strong. She owns a gym. Like, she's it. And every time she does a hard lift, because she practiced this face when she's in pain, it's this beautiful ballet, like, effort face.
Oh,
So every time she's doing this hard lift, she'll have like a big squat with this big barbell on her back, and she'll like go deep into a squat, and her face is like, it's the most beautiful stoic squat face I've ever seen. I was like, somebody trained you, didn't
that's
they?
funny.
Like, it's so important. It's interesting because I kind of dip into every genre, and those restrictions are not as important there. Um, and you see it coming out in a really positive way in some cases. And so I think in classical music, I agree with you when it comes to like the experimentation. I think interesting things can happen when we do follow our instincts. Um, but I think there's a respect and an integrity that you have to, if you're going to be a musician, you have to at least know.
Right.
And then
What rules you're
you can
breaking?
make some,
Yeah.
yeah, if only to just like be able to appreciate. It's like you can love the music you love, but if I'm going to be a qualified uh, teacher of integrity, I have to be able to appreciate the music I don't like. Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Can I listen to a Schoenberg and not be like, ugh?
Right.
And yes, but I can also go, ugh, at the same time. 'Cause I don't love all his stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some operas I would never want to hear again. No thanks. Like, there are a lot of them actually I don't care for. I love Mozart, but I've heard so much Mozart. If I have to listen to another Mozart, like I just need a year break. Like I just need a little bit of time.
Right. Fair
And
enough.
that's fine. But I really love the experimental element, especially with kids and piano.
Mm.
Like, I want you to have a relationship with your voice that's unique, and if you feel inspired to do it a certain way, great. But I swear, if you add a riff to Puccini, we might not be a good match. You might,
Yeah.
go to the modern school of music in England. Like, go, so that's fine, but that's not the studio that I want to run.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to condemn people for experimenting, because I think that's how new things happen. I think people are bringing a lot of classical ideas and elements into modern music, and every time I hear it and see it, I'm like, yes,
Mm.
that's not quite right, but yes, like at least it's getting out there and we're exposing people to it. So
Yeah, and innovation, bringing in new audiences.
retaining new audiences,
Yes.
which is the biggest issue for people, because they just don't know what they're supposed to be listening
Apparently,
to.
90% of people who go to a classical music concert never go back.
Yeah. I think we probably follow the same woman who does a lot of marketing around
Yeah,
that. But
Aubrey. Aubrey, she was
Aubrey.
on the podcast 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got it down. I talked to our local symphony because they needed a new marketing person, and I do sales copywriting also,
Right.
along with what I do. And so I understand the sales funnel and, the way that you kind of walk a client through sales. And we were talking about ways that they are currently promoting their seasons. And they're just so archaic. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, it's just, and so even mentioning new things, there was a lot of resistance. I mean, we're still putting flyers in gas stations. Like,
Mm.
who's coming? You can't even track that metric. And that's the biggest issue I have, is that it's not trackable.
Yeah,
You don't know unless you survey them when they show up. And
exactly.
you have not earned the right to survey them. You haven't given them anything.
Right.
And so it's very frustrating. I'm like, why don't you set up like big, like accordion walls in the lobby with something they can listen to, like a museum that kind of walks them through what they're going to hear, show them specific parts that they should listen for, why that's important, why that's cool. They did that at LA Opera. It wasn't LA Opera, but it was the symphony there. And my current housemate right now, she's like, I love the symphony because of that one performance. They actually told me you should listen for these 4 things.
Yes.
This is what they're trying to show you. This is what's important. She was like, it just opened up a whole new world of discovery in classical music. And she loves going now. And she goes frequently when something's available. But they just don't know what they're like. Tell me how I'm supposed to feel about this. I don't know.
I mean, when
You know,
I go
I
to the
haven't
museum, I get the audio guide
Yeah,
because I don't know what to look for unless you tell me this symbol,
exactly.
this color, this pose. I'm like, okay, thank you for explaining it to me.
Yeah.
Like, we're supposed
And
to
it's
educate our audiences.
Yeah, and I think that people are willing to be respectful of the applause, no applause in jazz concerts and classical. Like, everyone's got a different expectation, and I think that's okay as long as you tell them why that tradition started. Did it always used to be that way? Like invent some funny script you can talk about. Practice together as an audience so they don't feel stupid when
Exactly.
they, clap in the middle of. Nobody likes that. You'll lose their trust. You'll lose their love of the event. They'll have a sour feeling in their stomach the rest of their lives toward classical music. And I just think we're doing a poor job. It's almost like we don't want people to come into our theaters
Well, because we're
because,
elite. We have to,
eh,
how can we welcome people in if we want to stay elite, right?
well, your elite will,
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
I know,
No, but Aubrey is
exactly.
the one who mentioned the shaming. The people don't come back because they feel shamed at a concert. If they
Uh-huh.
don't know what to say, they don't know where to sit, they don't know when they can clap, they can't bring a drink, they can't talk,
They
they can't
can't
go
turn
on
on
their
their
phone.
phone. They get escorted out if they, and I'm just like, you know
Like, why do
what?
you think they don't want to come? Yeah.
I honestly, I don't love the idea of having a lot of phones in the audience. I think, especially during moments that are really, like, don't clap during one of the last arias in Tosca, please. Like, those emotional arias that the tenor sings, like, oh, I really don't want the distraction of a phone. So, what if we had like prompts on the side of the stage that said no phones during this song, or
Mm-hmm.
no blah blah blah, like, so we could help them enjoy and be physically involved in appropriate times, but not feel stupid if they want to do it. Like, we could do so much,
Yeah.
and we just don't. I think that we're afraid of people who have money because they're the ones that donate and expect to be given, have their rules obeyed. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. We didn't even touch half of what I wanted to talk to you about marketing, so I think I have to have you back.
We talked just about marketing because it's so life changing, man. I made
Especially,
more
yeah, how you've been
in a
selling your
year,
course. Mm-hmm.
yeah, than I did at university on a tenure track position. Like, with half as much work. It was still a lot of work, but it set me free. It's just a whole. I don't love it all the time. I've had to set some real boundaries there because it can just suffocate you. But it's definitely something that people don't take advantage of as much because they have to get comfortable with social judgment. The
Mm.
possibility of it is always there, and it's never going away. And if you can get over that and deal with it every day, get your mental scripts together, it'll set you free in a big way.
It's so powerful. Um, we love to finish every episode with an action point. I mean, we've touched on so many things today. I'm going to listen to this episode on repeat. It's been so helpful for me. What would your action point be for everyone listening?
Well, something practical, physical, set a timer. Interrupt your ruminating thoughts. Make sure that they're in the right direction, that they're not self-hating or doubting or regretting or shaming. And then I guess the natural segue from that is just this radical, delusional, unreasonable even self-forgiveness. Everything stems from that. You've got to have it for yourself. You've got to have it. And I just think that it changes everything when you start to practice that. And again, I don't know that it's a decision you can make once and then it just is there. I have to decide every day, especially at the 20 minutes. That timer goes off. And I realize that I'm back in shame. I'm back in that thing I did that one time. I told someone I could play that thing and I actually couldn't. And I got up and totally bungled the whole. And every parent and high school student looked at me like I was crazy. Shame spiral. Like such a shame spiral. I forgive myself. It's okay. Forgiveness. And I just have to learn to do that as a practice.
It's so
And
good.
sometimes you won't believe it. Your brain will be like, I don't believe you. I don't believe that I forgive you. Well, you're going to believe it because I'm going to choose to think about something else instead of living the rest of my day thinking about this and worrying about this and letting it affect my confidence.
So powerful. Renewing your mind. Thank you so much, Emily. How
You're
can people
welcome.
find you? How can they follow you?
Classical voice coaching on most platforms, mostly Instagram. That's kind of where I am the most.
Okay, everybody, set a timer, go follow Emily, and we're going to have you back on for marketing part 2. Thank you so much for your time today,
Thanks,
your
Michelle.
wisdom.
Thanks. I appreciate you.